Our speaker is named Latasha Alexander. She is a senior recruiter with Baylor Scott & White Health. She's going to be talking about the recruiting process, what recruiters look for. She is a leader with a diverse background, including over 10 years recruiting in different industries, such as IT, sales, healthcare, and pharmaceutical, making her the best person for advice on getting your next job or career. Through her past experience, she has developed a wonderful eye for talent, which serves her employers well. Add to that an amazing work ethic, excellent scouting and sourcing skills, and a deep understanding of the talent acquisition process from the angles of both the recruiter and the job seeker. She introduced her first book, which was called Do You Want the Job or Not? Tips and Stories from the Mind of a Recruiter. After listening to the stories from clients and candidates and then recommending solutions to best fit their desires, she truly believes she sets herself apart from all other recruiters by owning the ability to realistically explain what a job seeker may be missing as that final push into a new career. Do You Want the Job or Not is available for purchase on Barnes & Noble. The book covers topics like resumes, interviewing, what recruiters actually do, and common sense. The best parts about the book are the real-life examples and interview fails that help you to avoid the very same mistakes. Let's give a great big hearty welcome to Latasha Alexander.
Good morning. Good morning. Let me scooch over. Scooch. I was listening to you guys' stories. So many things we have in common. I was going to be an attorney, and then I thought I don't want to spend the rest of my life fighting people at all. One bad year, and I was like, no attorney. So recruiting has always been just the most amazing career for me. It's because I talk a lot. I tell people things that I think that they should know that help them out, and I like telling stories. So throughout this presentation, you're gonna get a couple of my stories, and I hope you guys are an interactive group, because if you sit and stare at me this whole time, I'm gonna get nervous and stop talking. Just a heads up. So feel free to stop me, ask questions. I'm a very interactive person. So yeah, you have a video? So I'm gonna make you laugh first.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, how'd that job interview go? Doris would love to get that custodial position filled this week.
Well, on paper, the guy looked great. But when it came down to the interview process, all he kept talking about was
customer service experience. You see, I know how to wow. It's all about telling them what they want to hear. And no matter what the question is, I always talk about my good customer service. Companies can't pass on someone with good customer service, no matter what the job is.
the question I asked was, tell me about your previous custodial experience. But then all he said was,
I've been a customer service person for years. Wowing the customer is what I do best.
and when I asked about his previous custodial positions on his resume, he said that they were
Advanced customer service positions, where I please the customer by taking care of business.
Maybe he didn't read the job description. Maybe he's looking for a customer service job?
maybe. But when I asked, he just kept,
Talking about my customer service experience. All recruiters like to hear that you have good customer service, no matter what the job is.
Sometimes I don't think people read the job description of the job they're applying for. I want to pause the interview, tell them to stop the gimmicks, start interviewing for the job you applied for, and listen to the questions I ask. Do you want the job or not?
Thank you, guys. Now, how many people believe that actually happened to me? Everybody go ahead and raise your hand. I'm telling you it happened. I told you I like to tell stories. So, and the funny part is, what was that guy doing in my car? I don't know how he got there. So, second part of that is, do you think he got the job after he read the book? I don't know. I mean, I didn't call him and ask. Anyway, so this is our agenda for today, you guys. I'm gonna talk about me for 1 second because we already talked about me enough, I feel like. We're gonna go over hiring managers versus recruiters and what we actually do. Some of the stuff you're gonna know. Some of the stuff you won't know, you're gonna go, oh, okay, makes sense. We're gonna go over the recruitment process, resumes and what we recruiters are looking for. You're gonna play a game called Be the Recruiter. We're gonna go over pre-screening, interview tips, and then we're gonna talk about the don'ts of the entire hiring process. So again, this is a little bit about me. I'm not gonna talk about me, I'm gonna tell you why I wrote the book. I've been recruiting anywhere from engineers on up to healthcare, etc. for a long time. What I noticed is from entry level all the way up to VPs, engineers, everyone made the same mistakes in the interview process, in the pre-screening process, in the resume process. It was all across the board. I actually had a very high-end person, or high-level person, ask me, why should I look at this book? Why should I read this information? Everyone's making the same, recruiters make the same mistakes. So I started writing the book. Then friends of mine would come to me and ask me, look at my resume, review my resume, tell me what's wrong here. I've done different types of interviewing technique, just helping out. Same questions. So I said, I can't help everybody one at a time. And that's where the book came from, a little bit of background. So I wanted to tell people what recruiters do versus what hiring managers do. But I want to start off by defining two different types of recruiter. So Mr. Jim over there, he's an agency recruiter. So that means people hire him. Walmart says, I need 5 employees. They go to him. We want to hire you to find us those 5 employees. A corporate recruiter is what I do. That means I recruit for one company, and that's the company that I work for. So, you know, if you work for Walmart, I recruit only Walmart employees, just to give an example. So what recruiters do is when there's a need for a new candidate, so someone leaves the company or they get promoted, recruiters sit and talk with those managers. We create the job descriptions. Sometimes the company creates them. Sometimes we sit together and we create the job descriptions. We do an intake with the hiring manager. We source the resumes off of Indeed, or people apply directly to the job. And we find the best qualified candidate. And from that best qualified candidate, we submit them to the hiring manager. Recruiters don't have any direct reports, meaning we're not managers of anything. No one's under us. We work for the company recruiting candidates. The hiring manager, this is gonna be your supervisor at work. This is going to be your manager at work. This is the person that opened the requisition for the recruiter to fill. So this is going to be your manager. Who's in charge of this process, the recruiter or the hiring manager? Hiring manager. Hiring manager. The recruiter is not the person at the end saying, you got the job, it's not us. We're just bringing the best qualified candidates and presenting them to this hiring manager, and we're selling you to the hiring manager. This person has this skill, this skill, this skill. We think they're the best fit. Then the hiring manager's looking over your resume and saying, yeah, you're right, they have this, this, this. I want to interview them. So I want to go over this part, the recruitment process, and I'm going to try to give you guys as much behind the scenes recruitment stuff as possible without my employer coming in and dragging me out. So I mentioned the vacancy. The vacancy is created by a promotion or someone leaving the company for whatever reason. Then it's recruiters. We create the job description, or we work with the hiring managers. They give us the job description, or the company creates it somewhere. So we do that intake with the managers. I like to ask, aside from this job description, who do you want me to hire? What personality fits? What skills that best met, the previous employer that this person that vacated the spot worked for? What did they have that you liked that worked in this position? I asked a ton of questions in that intake session because I want to make sure I submit to them the best qualified candidate in more ways than one. So once that intake, we post that on our company's website through our applicant tracking systems. And from the website, we put it on job boards, social media, however the recruiter chooses to look for those people. The recruiters go through I go through every single resume that comes I keep hearing this mystery about some strange applicant tracking system kicking people out based on keywords. We'll talk about that. But I review every single, and I recruit for about 20 hospitals. Every single resume that comes in, I sit there and I click. Takes me about 1 to 2 minutes to review a resume and look for things. We're gonna talk about that too, trust me. From this point, I pass the best people to the hiring manager to see if they're a good fit. And this is after pre-screen. So I review, pre-screen, and then I pass the best qualified candidates on to the hiring managers. The hiring managers review my notes, they review the pre-screens, they review all that information, and they say, I want to interview this person, and that person. And then I have my coordinators, or I call and I schedule the interviews. From there, the hiring managers eventually select somebody to hire and onboarding. In between these two processes, the hiring managers sit with the recruiters and they say, this is what we liked about the candidates. This is what we didn't like. This is after you interview. All of us sit down and we talk about you. This is the resume part. So this is what we're looking for. Keep in mind, I said we don't have long. If I post a rec today is Friday, over the weekend, hundreds of people, depending on the job of course, are gonna apply for that position. I have to look through all of those people, right? So this is the resume that you wanna try to get as close. Let me explain why. So, resume tips for you. Always keep your contact information up to date. You'd be surprised how many resumes I've seen with no contact information at all, or people who have approached me at career fairs and scribbled out the phone number and wrote in one, and I got too many digits on one. I don't know if it was like 11 or 12, and one was not the first digit, so it was completely wrong. So always keep that updated. LinkedIn profiles, put them at the top, because I'm gonna go and look. Your email address, just in case that phone number for whatever didn't work, I always call people first, leave voicemail, then email them right after. Hi, my name is Latasha, I'm interested in you for whatever position. I'd like to speak to you, give me a call back. So next, your objective. People are trying to get rid of the objective in 2019. I don't know why, I like the objective. It tells me, the recruiter, where you're going, where you're trying to go, especially for those people that are switching positions or switching jobs. Yes, sorry.
I've heard you should have an objective if you're new in the job market, if you have a lot of experience. It's better to go with a summary. Your thoughts?
So the objective, I like it. It's one line, it tells me where you're going. But I also included a summary of qualifications because that qualifications as a recruiter keeps me interested in moving down. This gives me a bunch of quick words, and here go those keywords again, that's gonna tell me if I'm hiring an insurance underwriter, for example, I know that this person has that, and I'm gonna go down and look at their professional experience. So one line for the objective, and then give me a summary of qualifications. I like systems. So if you've worked with different systems in the past, CRM, POS, ATS, whatever, put Salesforce in there, put your applicant tracking system, put your CRM system, because if I'm looking for someone that has used that same stuff, I'm gonna call you. So that's what that is. And so that's the summary of qualifications. It's a list of key achievements, skills, experience, and your qualifications as they're most relevant to the position that you apply for, meaning switch them out. So if you're applying for insurance today, put some insurance keywords up there, but of course, make sure they match what you've done in the past. If you're putting sales, customer service, engineering, whatever you're putting, make a match. And then your education. You can put your school, GPA, those things are optional. As you can see, what I did here was undergraduate studies. If the person had an undergrad degree, I put it there. If they had a graduate degree, I labeled it. Clean, labeled, skimmable. Real quick. See what my eyes just did? Next person. Next person. You see what recruiters are doing? We're looking really fast. This is skimmable. I can look at your entire resume in a second. How many pages in a resume? People now are using 2. I like 2 to 3, to be honest, because if you can see, this is the top, this is the bottom of one page. So if properly done, we were able to get one professional experience, and we were able to do the summary of qualifications, your objective, and your education. This is what we did in the professional experience. We have the dates of employment. I can see them right there. We have your where you worked, we have your title, and we have what you did. Does anybody have questions about that? It's
You like the bullet point and each entry is short as possible.
skimmable. Bullet points, very easy, very quickly for me to go through. Yes.
There's always a question though for your achievements versus what you did.
Both, especially in a sales environment. You definitely want to hit your metrics every month. You were #1 salesperson for the quarter, whatever achievements. So one of these bullets can be your achievements. You can put your task that you did, as well as, what was I gonna say? Any achievements, task, and any type of system that you use. Salesforce, when I was recruiting account executives, Salesforce was really, really big. So they would tell us different systems, and we would go out when we were using Indeed and sourcing, and we would look for those systems specifically. What were you going to ask me? I'm sorry.
On my resume, I've been told, put in 3 bullet points under where you worked, just to keep it short and specific, what you're doing then, because I have a bunch of companies listed. When I think, when people look at my resume, I suspect they say, oh my God, this guy's unstable. That might be true.
Use more than 3. Definitely use more than 3. I would hate to know what you left out trying to put everything as 3. Recruiters we're realistic people. I don't want you to leave out anything, and I really want you to give me the meat and potatoes of what you applied for. And you can't do that with 3 bullets. But if you look at this, I should have put the second page in there. Just think about this part on the next page. It's 3 or 4 jobs that you can get in there. And then you can explain the reason why in a cover letter it looks like you may be a person with short tenure. Also, what was I going to say? Also, I want to see your job history as it pertains to the position you're applying for. You have to qualify. Are you going to qualify with the 3 bullets that you choose out of the 5 you could have? Don't shorten it, is my point, to put it all in there.
It's a page and a half long.
Yeah. Can you add more? Do so. Draw out what you did and add it on that resume. Because when you draw out those things that you did in the previous position, it's going to add more value to your resume. And it'll be a lot of help for you. It'll give us more to work with. So these are some quick resume tips. You want it quick and to the point, but skimmable, and don't leave out key information in order to make your resume shorter, because that's not what we're looking for at all. We want the information, we want to know what you did without having to call you and say, did you do this? Because we're not going to do that. So make sure everything is grammatically correct, professional, organized, expert locksmith 2 years ago, so funny resume. Anyway, include relevant experience and keywords. Do not put a picture on the resume unless you're applying for a job that your picture matters, like a model, or like one of those people, what do you call them? They stand and they're demo people. Yes, don't put a picture on your resume. If you think about discrimination, you just never know. You don't want to put a picture on your resume and get kicked out.
Put people's profile picture, you would like to.
Right, don't.
I don't think something like that.
I'm not sure, but don't put your picture on there. Leave the focus on your skills as they pertain to the position that you're applying for. Yes?
I have 2 questions about the resume.
Sure.
One is, it's what we've always advised, and I'm happy to change it if we think we should, is that when you're fresh out of school, you put your education first because that's your primary qualification. But when you have extensive experience, you highlight that. That goes next, and then your education goes at the end. So that's one question. And the other question is, for the longest time, people have said on your resume, only go back 10 or 15 years. And what you did earlier than that might not be relevant. And last week, we had a week before last, we had a recruiter who said, go back throughout your entire career on your resume. We had never heard that recruiter before. And so what's your...
Don't go back the entire year. I actually had a guy, he was in the Army, amazing man. He had a 23-page resume.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what you need for a career or for a government job.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
how far do you advise people to go back?
Well, if you see the format of the resume, it doesn't give you a time period. What it gives you opportunity to explain that experience. So if between 5 and 10 years, I would say, if it's 2019, I don't really want to see anything before 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had one job for 30 years. You got one job.
Yeah, then put your job for 30 years and put everything. Did you work the exact same job the entire time, or did you go from different departments? So put those different departments, because if I'm qualifying a manager with 5 years of experience and you put on your resume, I worked at this position for 30 years, but you had 5 different positions, I'm gonna say, was he in this position for 30 years? Or did he have management experience for 30 years? Exactly. And then the education part, with people that don't have a lot of experience, but education always goes to the top. It's the flow of the resume. And if you see what I did, that summary of qualification leads you into the education, leads into the experience they have. If they don't have experience, you're gonna really put that education there. And you're gonna be able to take that down. I would never put my education on the bottom. And I'm gonna tell you why. If you look at any of the job descriptions, when we say we want a person with a bachelor's degree, I'm gonna be looking for that bachelor's degree. And some people's resumes are so faded in, we're looking for the education, we don't see it. And so you want that education, those skills at the top, and then the experience at the bottom. If you put references of volunteerism at the way bottom, that's what you do. But that education and that summary needs to go at the top. Yes?
One idea I've heard is, put like a detailed thing for that, like maybe the last 5 or 10 years, but then like maybe at the very end, just give like 2 or 3 lines for like each job you had before that. What do you think about that?
Formatting. You want to be consistent. So if this is what you use on the first one, you use it on all of them. You make sure those margins are going down. See what I did? And that's what you want to see. You want to see every single job look like the very first one. Don't get to the end and skip and put a few sentences. No. Go throughout the entire job history on your resume, all consistent. Very skimmable resume. Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Absolutely. I can email it to you, and you can share with everyone. I was trying to think if I had it in the book.
If you email it to me, I'll put it in the newsletter.
That'll work. Yes, yes. And I actually like this particular resume. Mickey Mouse was a Minnie Mouse, because Minnie Mouse had a position where she worked at one job with 3 different positions, and we were able to break the 3 different positions down. So you see dates. You see, basically what you see is the name of the company here, and then you see what they did, so management here, and then you see a different date of employment and what the position title and what they did. So it was a good example of a breakdown of multiple positions worked at one company. But yes, I'll send it to you. Yes.
I've heard that some ATSs will kick out a resume that has lines.
That has lines?
Lines. So that we shouldn't use lines because some of the ATSs will reject those.
Not at all. Not at all. So in ATS, however, I'm going to talk about your file and how you save it, but in the ATS systems, however you save it is how it's going to come up. If you save it as a .doc or a PDF, that's how it comes up. Would you guys agree? Not you, recruiters. You hear me? Yes. It's how we click, when we click our ATS system, whatever the file is, the entire file comes up. It says PDF, it saes .doc, and it just comes up.
Do you prefer Word or PDF?
So either, doesn't matter. But I will talk to you about what we don't prefer.
And is this the format everybody follows, or, because mine is set up differently from this?
You can change your resume, just make it skimmable. And you want, so if you look, so I formatted this resume myself. This was hand formatted by me. The point of this resume is skimmable. We're able to have everything we need to see in one page, and then we go to the next page and we see more experience. You can change your resume, you can make it look like you want. But some things that are key, the objective, you want that there, you want that summary of qualifications, you want those dates of employment, you want that education at the top, and you want to put a good list of tasks of what you did at each employer. Now, I will tell you, I'm not crazy about some of the templates, because I saw a template had these big circles on it. I think it takes away from your experience. I think it takes away from what we're looking at. Keep in mind, our job is to, as quickly as possible, fill these positions. Why do you want to take away from this? You don't want to do that. Okay, so say that one more time. Which part?
When you have a summary of your qualifications and then you go down and you give sorry, a little bit more specific, but not specific to each job?
In the summary of qualifications or your professional experience?
In professional experience, overall, do you have to list each job and then list your qualifications?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll go over that too. Because I have an example up here actually. The military resume. Keep in mind that when you have these things, some of this stuff, you want to civilianize your resume. We gotta know what we're putting in a position. Not so much recruiters, but recruiters and hiring managers. So I was at a career fair once, talked to this amazing guy, just got out of the Army. We talked about just everything that he had done. Great management candidate. So I took his resume back to the hiring manager, and this was at a call center. And I said, he'll be great for this call center position. Hiring manager looked at it, not civilianized. We don't know what you did. Good civilianized resume. Tell us what you did in a way that we can understand it and we can correlate it to what we are hiring for. So this is called Be the Recruiter. And this goes back to the question that you asked. So if you look at this, is this a good resume, you guys think?
No, it doesn't tell you enough.
Right.
It's hard to read.
It's hard to read. A couple of things going here. So this person gave us dates of employment. They gave us where they work. They told us what they do. So at Crest Park Nursing Home as a certified nursing assistant, did you do sales? Because I don't know where you did the sales. You put in a big summary of skills, but I don't know where you did each individual thing. Did you communicate in customer service at the steel staffing service or the file clerk position? I have no clue what you did. So when I go to qualify this person and say, okay, as a CNA at the nursing home, I can't assume what you did. It has to be there. What about this one? Is that okay?
Yeah, but there should be.
Hey, I'm offended. This is my resume. No, I'm joking. It is worthy. It is worthy, but it's a trick one. It's a trick. So it is a little wordy. I put it a little thick in there. This is a good one, but it's not skimmable. Do you see how that went from all the bullets stacked up to paragraphs? I have to read one requisition that a recruiter can hold, can have 100, 200 people. How long is it going to take me to read 100 resumes that look like that? It's a long time. I spent forever on one rec. Is this making sense to everybody? Okay, good. So we're going to talk about pre-screening now. And that's when recruiters call you on the phone and we qualify you for the position that we're trying to hire you for. And this is also your opportunity to ask us questions because it has to be a fit for the candidate as well as the employer. So when we call you on the phone for the pre-screening, we're asking you questions about what you did in the past, your previous experience, all that good stuff. And then you're going to ask us questions. Ask us about the schedule of the position. Where is this position located? Because I don't want to drive to South Austin. I live Northwest. Here's some tips for the pre-screening process. Be available. Answer the phone. A lot of times we call people, don't hear from them. Still interested, hear from you back in a week. I don't stop calling once I call you. I just keep picking up the phone. So if you call me back in a second and I'm on the phone, it's because I call someone else. And when I say be available or call back soon, I then say be alert. So, hi, this is Latasha with X, Y, and Z company. I'm a recruiter. I'd like to speak to you about whatever. I'm sorry, can you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Be alert. If you're too sleepy to take the call, let's schedule a time. We can talk later. But you definitely don't want to ruin your opportunity by not being alert during the call. Next, ask about the position first. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm applying for positions and looking for a job, I didn't just apply for one position. I applied for a bunch of them. So as opposed to, assuming, ask the recruiter first. Say, hey, I applied for a bunch of positions. Do you mind telling me a little bit about this? Absolutely. And I'll go into my spiel and I'll tell you, this is a position that's located here. This is what we do. And you're just like, oh, okay. And then you're going to be able to cater your responses for the next couple of questions as it pertains to that position. Next, answer the questions we ask you. Now, I know people are very excited to give their spiel. you know. But make sure you answer the questions we ask, because we're putting those questions in under this specific answer. If you give the long overview of your career, if I ask, tell me, have you finished your degree? Yes, I finished, my master's, my bachelor's, then let me tell you about my 15 years. You're just going. I'm gonna ask you those questions eventually. But answer the questions we ask, because the person that gets the job, they did. And they were very specific about that one question. And then you go to the next question, they're very specific about that question. So they're able to give the best answers because they're only answering that one question and not giving a giant summary. Do you guys understand that? Just making sure. All right, and then, so make sure you ask the questions. Ask about the benefits, ask about the schedule. It has to be a fit for you as well as the company. Now, the salary. Who has questions about salary that they want to ask a recruiter? All hands go up at the same time. So I tell people, of course, confirm the salary, but this is what a lot of people do. They go through with the entire job process, and then at the end, when we make the offer, they want to negotiate the salary. Now, what's bad about that is you don't want to negotiate the salary at the end. You want to set expectations of the salary in the beginning so you don't waste time. So if recruiter told you all the information that you needed to know, are you interested in coming in for an interview? Yeah, but I want to set expectations that I'm looking for $25 an hour, for example. How easy is that? Well, at this time, we're not looking to pay 25. We're only looking to pay 10. Well, at this time, it's not the best fit for me. So you want to decline the job professionally and not go ghost. And so here are some reasons some reasons, you can make up your own reasons, but here's some reasons to decline a position. The salary is not what I'm looking for right now. I need more money. I cannot commit to the schedule requirements. The location is not a commutable distance. This is not what I'm looking for in a potential job opportunity. If you need to think about it, think about it. Here's some verbiage that tells you a good way to decline the position. You can decline it like this during the pre-screening. You can decline it like this in the email. I appreciate your interest in me for the retail sales position. At this time, I'm looking to continue my growth in management. I don't want to be a retail salesperson. I would appreciate if you kept my resume on file, and if other opportunities come, give me a call. Decline the position, don't decline the company. And what that means is if you decline in an unprofessional way, company won't seek you out anymore. Yes?
Do you to have a specific salary, or do you have a range?
I knew it was coming. So this is a very easy question. If you look at a job ad and it says $10 an hour, that's what we're going to pay you. $10 an hour, we're telling you. If it says $10 and up, that means it's negotiable $10 and up. But on the salary range, if we don't put anything, that means it's a range. Each job code or each job grade has a specific range. So say a job range from, I'm making up something, a customer service person is from $1 to $10. Somewhere you're going to get a salary in between that. And that's what a job range looks like. But yes, sometimes.
So the negotiation can be, sometimes if you just say, yes, that range is acceptable, I would like to move forward in the process.
Absolutely.
And then when you get the offer, then at that point, is it appropriate to then negotiate within that range? Because now you know more about the job and more about the fit, and you know more about what you have to offer. And so then is it appropriate in your company to negotiate for the higher end of the range?
Absolutely. You can negotiate at any time. But I think a person should tell and set the expectations up front. So that way you don't have to. When you get to the end.
I know the details.
Very true. And that's why I said you can negotiate at any time. But I like to set expectations up front because I don't want you to come in and waste your time and interview me if I know I can't pay you, right?
But if the range, if you say, okay, this is the range of this classification, and you say, okay, that range is acceptable. And so is that enough initially? And then as you go forward in the process,
you can adjust it. Absolutely. Yes. You can change your mind at the end and say something different. All you're going to get is a yes or no answer. Yes, we can pay you this, or no, we can't. So that's it. Yes.
Because I already know the process. I already talked to a recruiter. The first time I talked to a recruiter was in San Juan, to actually do the phone call screening. At that time, the very first call, they asked, what's your desired pay? I said, I talked about, we discussed that. And I said, offer me the position. He said, well, no, I need to know a number. Yeah. I said, okay, well.
That sounds frustrating.
Well, that's my decision. I did some research. I did research of that job description within Texas, around the Austin area. And the hours was $15.85. So I told him, well, I'll go below the $16 an hour.
Okay.
But as I before you hear anything, I was letting you know time the screening, and I said, give me any time. He just honestly that I've been doing my research, but I'm using the job. So now it's ready to just everything's gonna go to the hiring manager. See, well, get back in touch with me. So I'll have it by by next week's time, and next week. So that's my question. But is it against me to try to increase that? But I see the person that's a 16, but now I know I've got more of the retail, the job work, job force, and all of the research, not from her, and from her own research. Is it possible for me to say that we were 116? Would that be against me like that?
No, not at all. So she asked the same question. It basically, is it against the rules to negotiate at the end, on the back end, once you know more about the details of the position? No, you can do that still. You can still ask for more money.
Okay. So how do I go about it? I'm trying to figure out how to go about it.
The same way you just did. Just say, hey, now that I know more about this position and I know I'm going to have these tasks, this is what I'm going to be looking for. And it's real simple. Be as clear as possible. Yeah, as long as it's professional, it's well taken. It's fine. Yes? Me too.
So do you have any tips about like managing that, or is it just you want to know everything?
Just call me right back. Yeah.
So maybe having professional voicemail or something?
Absolutely, and that's actually in the book. So I didn't put everything obviously in the book that's here because we would have like a 50-page PowerPoint. I don't know about you guys, but I want to eat soon. But there are some things that are hilarious that are in the book in the common sense section. So I called a candidate one time, and they had the entire verse to a song on the voicemail. And I hung up first, and then I thought about it, and I said, I wonder how far that song would have gone had I just listened. So I called back and went to voicemail again and listened to the entire song on the voicemail. And I was like, it was the first verse. But yes, always a professional voicemail. And here's another thing. A lot of sales companies, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they actually make you they make you call them back and read a voicemail sample so they can hear how you sound and record it on their voice. Just call back and say, hey, and just see how you sound. Now think about that company's recruiter trying to qualify you in the very beginning for this position, and they call your voicemail and you got a whole song playing. That's wonderful, right? But two things, either just call me right back or send me an email and say, hey, I'll be available at this time, can we make an appointment? And then we'll make an appointment and put you on the calendar. And then a lot of recruiters are using Calendly as opposed to even calling you, they just send you a link to put it on their calendar. Yes?
I got two questions.
Yeah.
Number one, generally how long do you prefer to do a pre-screening call? How many minutes?
Okay.
Do you limit that to 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 30
I
minutes?
talk a lot. I don't have a limit. I just call you, and I like to really, really talk to my candidates because I feel like the more I talk to you, the more I can draw out things that I can use to sell you to the hiring manager.
Okay. Second question. You mentioned up here, it says, I would appreciate it if you kept my resume on file. If you kept resumes on files, I'm assuming you would have files with about this today. How often is that reasonable to expect that you would go back to that file and look at those resumes when a new job opening occurs?
I actually do all the time, but so when I say in file, applicant tracking systems, they don't get rid of them. You're always in there. And so they're tied to that requisition. So when I feel that requisition, I can go back in that requisition and pull you up later. And I've done that a lot because you're not qualified or you're not the best fit for this position. That doesn't mean I'm not going to remember you. And recruiters, we remember a lot. It happens all the time. Yes?
One of the questions, how far is it going to use a race to go up to create a how do they, I have an internship with it. It's like how far is it limit of like increasing my first set that I go for?
Of the salary?
Yeah.
Within the range. you can always ask a recruiter what the range is. You know, of course it changes company. If the company policy says they can't tell you, they can't tell you. But I'll be happy to tell you, it's between $1 and $10. Every job, $1 to $10. Yeah. Yes. You can ask about your money. I'm not shy about money. Yes.
When you say be available, a problem I have sometimes is, you know, a recruiter talks to me today. Well, a recruiter like emails me or something. They say, let's schedule time to talk. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm available like all day Tuesday. But then I might get like 6 more emails asking me the same question. And then it's like, oh, so you're free to 11. Well, not anymore.
Just email back and forth until you get a time. Or you can just call the recruiter. Yeah. Anybody else? Say that again?
Or you can sign up for Calendly.
Calendly. There you go.
I thought about doing that.
Yeah. But you can always call us back. Keep in mind, they pay us all day for those 8 hours to be there answering calls, and that's what we do. So, yes?
This is a question about the position.
Yes.
How do you, like if you're applying for a project coordinator role, you've not got that in your title, but you've done it in certain jobs and a lot of project coordination and many roles. How do you ensure that you get a call back? Is there any other titles you have?
So I mentioned that a little bit. That objective goes a long way. So you can put what you're seeking now, or you can say, you know, recent project manager, certificate, graduate student looking for new role in whatever, objective sentence. And it tells the recruiter, this is what I did before, but this is what I'm looking for now. And that's why I think the objective goes far. I don't think you should get rid of them. I think you should keep them on your resume and tell us what you're looking for now. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. Now, what else do we have up here? So now we're getting to the age where we're doing these digital interviews. And the digital interviews are either live full-on interviews, or you can pre-record answers to your questions before you're digitally recording the answers to your question. Here's some tips for those digital interviews. One, make sure you clean up what's in the background, because I've seen some interesting stuff. I told you I was going to tell you some stories. Go to a private place. Control the dogs and put the kids away. You don't want to knock off frustrate yourself or take away from what you're trying to do, which is display your skills and be able to tell us what you're doing. Use the opportunity to re-record if they're pre-recorded digital interviews, because they have them where you see the question and you record the interview. Practice in the mirror. In the first video, introduce yourself and thank them before you answer the question. Now, you do want to answer the questions they ask you, but how long is it going to take you to say, well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for allowing me this opportunity for this job. Now, the question is, and then answering the question. It just looks so much better on those digital interviews, trust me. And then answer the questions you're asked. Whatever that one question is, answer that question only, because we'll get to the other one. Do not complete this task at work. There is nothing worse than knowing that you'll violate company policy to look for another job. Don't complete interviews at work. And then be mindful for the phrases that you use repeatedly. So I saw a digital interview a few years back, and the person continually used the word I dealt with, you know, people coming up to order their food, and I dealt with this. Just be careful with those phrases. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain this to me? I have no idea what you're talking about.
So this is so funny. A friend of mine right now is going through a interview process with a company here in Austin. As opposed to the pre-screening, the normal pre-screening where has anybody did a digital interview?
I've done
Video interviews? Have you done the pre-recorded ones? Higher view, exactly. Yeah. So what happens is you get an invite and you click the link. There's a question. You read the question, you answer the question, and it's recording your face, and it goes back to hiring managers or whoever it goes back to. Recruiters.
Is it kind of like FaceTime? Because I've done
FaceTime is live, whereas what she just mentioned, higher view, is digital. It's a recording of you.
Yeah. And you can back up and re-record?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's really, really cool. I actually did it. And it was funny because I had just got this new makeup, and it had big rash on my face. So during my video, I pulled my hair to the front and I was sitting in my home office and I lowered the shade just so you can see. And I had these glasses on so there was light reflecting off the glasses. But hey, I answered the questions and I got the job, so it worked. Any other questions about that? Yes, sorry.
I did a couple of these, and I remember hating them every time. Generally because you don't have any interaction, you're like, you didn't get it. Did I say something? Did I do this? And most companies, recruiters don't give a reason or even feedback like, hey, this is the reason you get it. That's why I'm kind of like, not harsh towards recruiters because I know they're trying to help you. But at the same time, they're not, I don't want to say helpful, but I don't feel like I'm not getting any feedback. I'm trying to give as much information as I can, but I don't feel like I get anything back. I just feel like it's just almost a waste of time. Just because they'll just drop me. Just drop me off. Like, next. I need something.
And I get that. I get them. I get that. But just keep in mind, the recruiter has already taken interest in you by sending you this part of the process. Because that means we've looked at your resume, we love you, we sent you this as a next step. But you don't know who's declining. Is it the recruiter saying this person isn't a fit after we've already taken interest, or is it the hiring manager saying they're not the best fit for this position based on questions asked? I tell people all the time, don't take the declines personally. One of a question that's in one of those digital interviews is the salary. It can be the best person in the world, but you don't know the salary. And so if you put $95 an hour and we're only looking to pay $30, that's a decline, right? Don't take them personally.
So on salary, I mostly just put
Yeah, I love people like you. Yeah, let's call and have the conversation. Let me just tell you, I'm a very blunt, because I want to tell you. I don't want to get to the end and you say, I want to decline this position because the salary is not right. So I'm very, very open and honest about that stuff. But don't hate the digital interview. Have fun with it. You don't have to be, just make sure you answer the questions, you stay professional, and just answer the questions that you ask, and you'll be fine on those, okay? I like personality too. Say something funny like, hello, is it hot enough? And then go into it. I love it. Love it. You'll go next with me every time. Here's some more interview tips. So take a copy of your resume, even if you sent one ahead. Be on time. Research the company and the position before the interview. Always have a few questions about the company or position. Be confident. Do not be nervous at all. Everybody's normal people. Just come and be confident about what you're interviewing for. Don't mention the negatives, and I'll give you guys an example. I remember a couple years ago, I was recruiting for a company in what was it, North Carolina somewhere. And the candidate started telling me what she couldn't do. I said, tell me about your computer skills. Well, I can't use this, and I can't use that, and I can't use this. We didn't use any of those products that she mentioned, but just think about how that sounds. It's so negative, you know? Tell me what you can do and focus on that. Prepare for that conflict resolution question because it's coming. It's coming. Always think about it as this. Tell me what the conflict was, and then tell me how you were able to resolve it. That's all I'm looking for. That's all we're looking for. Don't say get my foot in the door because there's nothing worse than a person that is ready to get in the door so they can leave and go somewhere else. I just want to get my foot in the door. That's what that is. You're getting your foot in the door so you can go somewhere else. And keep your energy high throughout the interview. Don't fade off on me. You know, laugh, joke, smile, give me the information. Next, here's some of the direct hiring manager feedback that I've gotten over the years about just random positions. The person was too green. They're too green. Now keep in mind, we've already qualified this person, and the hiring manager always said I wouldn't see them. When you get into an interview and they say you're too green, you're unable to tell us about what you've done in a previous position. It's not that you're young, this is what it is. No energy or no enthusiasm throughout the entire interview. They didn't answer any of the questions we asked. They had no clue who the company was. They had no clue what the position was. They didn't know specific information about their own previous position, and this is especially in a sales environment. If I ask you in a sales role and I'm the recruiter, tell me about how your metrics from a previous role. Oh, I got paid $20 an hour. I don't remember. So you don't remember how you got paid? You probably weren't a very successful salesperson, right? So, and then they spoke poorly about a previous employer. Now, everybody knows that's not good, right? We don't want to hear the negatives because you might talk about us the same way in the next role. Couple more things. Don't y'all like this? This is the recruiter. But anyway, these are some don'ts, meaning don't do this. Don't send a link to where your resume is. Somebody asked me about that earlier. Don't send a Google link because you never know with the systems that these giant companies use that get blocked. I never see your resume. Send me a PDF or a Word file, please. And then save your resume without a proper file name. So file.doc, that means you probably didn't know how to go in there and change it to, Sheila resume. Create an email address that's unprofessional. It's some great examples of that in the book. When you get bored, go flip through it. Apply for positions you don't qualify. There is required skills in the job description versus preferred. Preferred means if you have it, that's great. Required means I need it today. So if you don't have that required, don't apply. Very simple stuff. Or forget to dress professionally. Good story about that. Don't call the recruiter repeatedly, back to back to back to back to back. I'm probably on the phone with someone else. And don't skip your interview. It goes back to declining the position, not declining the company. If you skip the position, I don't want to schedule another interview. You skipped it. You didn't call me. You just canceled. So potential red flags. I didn't put this up there, but I'm going to tell you about it real quick. So potential red flags to an interview. A red flag means we're interviewing, we're talking, but something doesn't seem right, and for that reason, I'm not moving forward. And so potential red flags, the information on your resume does not match the answers that you gave during the interview or the pre-screen. Some of the examples provided for the interview questions included information that you left off your resume, or for example, you spoke about multiple positions of companies that you worked, but they weren't on your resume. These are red flags. Body language or movement during conversations are consistent with someone not telling the truth, fidgeting your hands, moving, talking, long answers to questions that you should be, or taking long pauses to question answers that you should be able to just go. What did you do in your last position? I don't know either. You get frustrated quickly when answering questions about everyday tasks from a previous role. The reason you left your previous positions don't make sense. For example, you were moving to another state, but you're still here in Austin looking for a job a week later. But I thought you were moving. When asked why you left your last position, you said you wanted to go to school. This is fine. That's great. No problem. But you're applying for a job like a week later. Are you still going to school? Or red flag. Frequent layoffs, for example, positions that don't really have like a seasonal period, or they always keep permanent employees. You're unable to speak more about the prior company you worked for years. So you worked at a company for 5 years, but you don't know anything about them. All red flags, which are bad things during the interview. They're a reason for keep in mind I'm the recruiter telling you this is what information the hiring manager has given me about reasons that we didn't move forward with the candidate. Any questions? Is it funny enough for you guys yet? Are y'all liking it? And that's it. Does anybody have any questions? I think we got a lot of questions, but any questions while I'm here? Yes. Yes.
So earlier you said you like to see people go back, I think you said 5 to 10 years on a resume. And then you just said that one of the red flags is when they talk about experience that they had and it's not on the resume. And so if they've got good relevant experience, but maybe it's 20 years ago, but it's relevant, should that be on the resume, or should they not talk about it in the interview?
So you can mention it and say, it's not on my resume because it was a long ways back, but it is relevant experience to what I have now. What I meant was, I've seen it to where, pre-screened a candidate, and we talked about positions, I'm going, and have you ever heard this? Well, I'm looking at your resume, and I don't see that on here. And that's those positions I'm talking about. It's within the last, a year ago, I worked at wherever, and it's not here.
So one of the things he asked was, and this is something that lots of recruiters have advised their folks to do, so I just want to clarify, that they'll say, put your relevant experience, like the last 10 years or whatever, on the resume with detail, and then the earlier stuff, you just say earlier experience or other experience, and all you do is the company name and the job title. And that's all, and no dates, and you just list that, these are other things, roles that I've had in the past. And they might be relevant if they're a long time ago, but you've got to mention on the resume. But Is that something that's okay as far as you're concerned?
Keep in mind what a resume is. It's a chronological events, your last jobs as they occur.
Right.
So if you put them way down at the bottom, they're just useless information with, you know what I mean? Like they're at the bottom. You didn't put any dates of employment. They're just like.
Right, because they were earlier.
Right.
And so, that you said don't go back too far.
You don't want to go back too far, but you still, so let me give you an example. Say 20 years ago, you worked at a computer technology company, and you're applying for a computer technology company. But in your latest experience, 1 to 10 years, there's no computer technology company. You work for the fast food restaurant, making up something, right? So your resume is still going to have that chronological experience. So it's as it occurs, you're going to have that fast food restaurant on there, and you're going to have what you've been doing for this last 10 years on there, right? And then if you're in an interview and we're talking about your skills as they pertain, you can mention that experience. Just don't put it on your resume because you don't want to put that unformatted, it just looks bad on your resume. You're putting unformatted, so you got this formatted beautifully resume and at the bottom is unformatted information. You see where I'm going? Like it shouldn't be there.
Okay, I think I did.
Yeah, you can mention it and you can say, well, let me tell you about my experience as it pertains to this position. And then talk about your technology skills, talk about what you did before, mention it. But don't put it on your resume unless it's within the time, like you don't want to go back 40 years with stuff. 2, 4 pages, you know what I mean? And in your summary of qualifications, you can put what experiences you have with that position. But don't put it if it's not chronological and it's not correctly formatted. It doesn't have those dates of employment. It doesn't have that position. It didn't have the task that you did.
So you could have fast food with the name of the company and your job title and the dates, but maybe not a lot of job duties because they're not relevant. And then you get that long ago relevant stuff visually earlier in the resume.
Because you would be skipping time, right?
No, you've got fast food with your time, and then you stick that 20 years ago job that's really relevant and you have more detail about it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Have you only had these 2 jobs?
I don't know. In the scenario, how long did I work in fast food? So in that situation, if your relevant experience was longer ago,
Let me do this. Say, for example, you only worked at that fast food restaurant 10 years, and then you worked at that computer company 10 years ago, and you've only had those 2 jobs in your entire life. Put them on there. Because that's all you have. But say you had the fast food restaurant, then you had a clothing store, and then you had this, that, and the third, and way down here somewhere is that computer. If you leave out all that stuff, your resume is no longer chronological. Then you have this big gap of employment between. Okay.
I just said you would have practically no detailed experience about your tasks because they weren't relevant. But you cover the time period. So fast food, retail, quickly, and then the relevant stuff, you go into more detail about your relevant tasks and
Good enough. Thank you. You're welcome. It's okay, Kathy. Any other questions? Yes.
What is professional dress for men today?
Good question. It's very interesting. Professional dress is always professional dress. Slacks, a button-down tie, or that type of thing. Good shoes. Don't wear jeans. Don't wear flip-flops. Do you remember the video? That guy came in and interviewed with the Texas Longhorns shirt on, blue jeans, backwards hat. Don't do that. But yes, very good. Yes, question. Yes. Mm-hmm. But some companies, actually, I was impressed with Indeed. I sat and talked with a guy at a career fair one time, and when a company tells you what to wear that. So Indeed, actually, during this time period, I don't know what they do now, love the company, great company, they say come casually with jeans and a t-shirt. So if the company tells you to come casually, then feel free to. But I always start, number one, professionally dressed. And women, make sure professionally dressed is free from distractions. So it could be the heels we wear, it could be loud lotion, it could be all that stuff, free from distraction.